guys, welcome back to Your Mindset, Your Power. Before we start our conversation today, I want to invite you to pause with me, just for a moment. If you're listening while driving, walking, folding laundry, or trying to squeeze one more thing into your day, maybe even doing 3 things at once, I see you, my friend. We live in a world that moves fast, so fast that everything feels urgent. The next goal, the next milestone, the next task, the next when I get there. So much of life becomes where we are going that, without realizing, we turn our lives into waiting rooms, waiting for things to feel better, calmer, more meaningful. And somewhere along the way, we forget how to be here in this moment. Being present sounds simple, right? But let's be honest, it's not. Because slowing down often feels uncomfortable. Pausing feels like falling behind. And many of us have been taught directly or indirectly that rest, stillness, and presence are things we earn, not things we're allowed to have now. So today, as we close out this year together, I don't want to talk about resolutions, goals, or pressure. I want to talk about something deeper. I want to talk about what happens when we don't press the pause button or simply be. And what becomes possible when we do, when we live in the now where life really happens. And once we slow down enough to notice where we are, we can start to notice how we've been living. So let's completely be honest. Most of us are living in what I call destination mode. When I get there, when I finish this, when I accomplish that, then I'll slow down. Then I'll enjoy it. Then I'll feel fulfilled. So we keep moving, pushing, multitasking, rushing towards the next thing. It's like living life on fast forward, trying to get to the next scene without really watching the one we're in. Or like driving somewhere beautiful but never looking out the window. Your hands are on the wheel, you're moving forward, but the scenery, the moments, pass by unnoticed because your eyes are fixed on the arrival. And here's the thing, my friend. There is nothing wrong with having goals. Ambition is not the enemy. But when we lose ourselves in the process, when we stop feeling our lives while building them, we have to ask a harder question. What moments are we missing when our attention is always on what's next? And that question matters because rushing always has a cost. Because when we live constantly in the future, something quiet happens. We start missing moments that don't announce themselves as important. The random laugh with your kids, the quiet conversation with your partner, the way your body feels when you finally slow down. And I see this all the time in sessions, in conversations, in real life. For example, some parents of grown children have told me similar stories. They were focused on building, providing, working hard, chasing stability, success, and security for the future. Those things mattered. Of course they do. But somewhere along the way, life turned into a race. Their mind was always at the finish line, and without realizing it, they missed part of the journey. Important parts, a recital, a bedtime kiss, a quiet movie night. Not because they didn't love their kids, not because they did not care, but because their attention was often somewhere else, always rushing ahead. Sometimes present Physically, yes, but mentally in the next meeting, the next goal, the next milestone. It's like driving a race car through life. Eyes locked on the finish line, never looking out the window to see what you're passing. And one day, often much later, they realize it. I don't know where the time went. I wish I'd had slowed down more. I wish I'd spent more time with my kids. Because life doesn't disappear all at once. It slips by quietly while we're busy chasing what's next. So, if that's the cost of never slowing down, what's the alternative? Right? Let's talk about the pause, because a lot of people misunderstand it. The pause isn't quitting, my friend. It isn't giving up. It isn't losing momentum. And it definitely isn't doing nothing. A pause is the moment you stop reacting and start noticing. Most of us move through life on autopilot, not because we choose to, but because we haven't stopped long enough to notice how fast we're going. The pause is that interruption. It's the moment you take your foot off the gas just enough to realize, oh, this is how fast I've been moving. This is what I've been carrying. And here's why it matters. When you don't pause, life keeps moving, but you don't get to choose how you're moving through it. You react instead of respond. You push instead of listen. You stay busy instead of aware. The pause is where awareness comes back online. And awareness is powerful because you can't change what you're not aware of, right? Think of it this way. If your life were a car, many of us often are driving with that check engine light on, right? But the music is loud, the schedule is full, and we keep going anyway. The pause is when you finally pull over, not because the car is broken, but because ignoring the signals eventually costs you more. That's why the pause isn't about slowing your life down. It's about being present in the life you're already living. And the good news, my friend, you don't need to change who you are. You don't need to stop being driven or ambitious. You just need to create small moments of awareness right where you are. And when you start moving through life with awareness, you begin to reconnect with what really matters. So, why does all this matter so much? Why does pausing matter in a world that rewards speed? Why does presence matter when there's always more to do? Because without presence, even the most successful life can feel empty. You can check every box, hit every milestone, do everything right, and still feel disconnected from your own life. When we rush through our days, we don't just lose time, we lose meaning. And this shows up most clearly in our relationships with our kids, with our partners, with the people we love, and with ourselves. Because connection doesn't happen in the future, my friend. It happens in the moments we are actually there for. Purpose doesn't come from what you accomplish. It comes from how you experience your life while you're living it. It's not waiting at the finish line. It's not something you arrive at when things finally slow down. No. Purpose lives in the moments you're present for, the conversations you don't rush, the emotions you don't avoid, the people you don't miss while looking ahead. Your values? don't live in the future. Your relationships don't live in the future. Your life doesn't live in the future. It's happening now. Now. And when you are present, something completely changes. You stop living on autopilot. Of course, you stop chasing meaning outside of yourself. You start feeling aligned, not because life is perfect, but because you're actually here for it. Presence doesn't make life easier, my friend. It makes it truer. And when life feels true, even ordinary moments begin to matter. And as this year comes to a close, I want to invite you into a different kind of reflection, my friend. Not a list of accomplishments, not a review of everything you managed to get done, but an honest look of how you move through your days. Think back of this year and notice, how often were you rushing from one thing to the next? How often did you fill every open space with tasks, noise, or distraction? For many of us, slowing down doesn't feel natural. I get it. It feels unfamiliar, sometimes even uncomfortable. So we keep moving. We multitask. We tell ourselves we'll pause later. And over time, being busy becomes the default. And none of this means you've done something wrong. It simply means you've been living in a world that rewards constant motion. That's why awareness matters so much. That's why we're having this conversation. Because once you notice how you have been moving, you get to choose how you want to move forward. This is the awareness, my friend, in this conversation. So now comes the question that matters most. How do you want to show up for yourself, for the people you love, for your values? Because goals still matter. But maybe next year isn't just about the destination. Maybe it's about intention, the choices you make, the boundaries you set, the moments you protect. Sometimes that means saying yes, and sometimes it means saying no without feeling guilty, to protect your peace, your energy, and your time. Maybe this looks like fewer commitments, more space, more margin in your days. Presence doesn't require perfection, my friend. It requires choice. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to change your whole life to live more intentionally. You just have to start choosing how you show up, one moment at a time. All right, my dear friend, let's bring all this together. We talk about how easy it is to live in destination mode, always focused on what's next, always rushing toward the finish line. We talked about the cost of that rush, the moments we miss, the connections we rush past, the signals our bodies send that often go unheard. And we talk about the pause, not as quitting, not as falling behind, but as a way of coming back to awareness, to choice, to ourselves. Because when we pause, you don't stop your life, you start living it more intentionally. And before you move on to the next thing today, pause with me one more time. Take a deep breath. Notice the breath you're taking right now, the space you're in, the fact that you're here. Because your life isn't waiting for you at the finish line. It's happening in these small, ordinary moments, the ones that don't look important until they're gone. And if this year taught you anything, let it be this, my friend. You don't need to run faster to make your life meaningful. You don't need to do more to be enough. The moments that shape you the most rarely come from achievements. They come from presence, from being there, from noticing, from choosing connection over distraction, even for a few seconds at a time. And as this year closes, I want you to remember something simple and powerful. You didn't come this far just to rush through your life. No. So as you step into what's next, bring your goals with you. Let them guide you. But don't let them pull you away from yourself. Pause more often. Come back more often. Live now. Because one day, the moments you're rushing through today will be the ones you wish you could return to. And the greatest gift you can give yourself and the people you love is not perfection, productivity, or progress. It's presence. And if this episode resonated with you, my friend, I invite you to share with someone you love, someone who might need this reminder too. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening, and thank you for choosing to pause with me today. I'll meet you here again next week. Love you guys.